Alright, folks. I decided the best way to start leading into spooky season games. And that is to return to something that genuinely terrifies me. This is going to be Pokemon White using only normal types in a hardcore Nuzlocke. Welcome to the stream, Lastborn. Thank you for the hydrate. See, there's a bit of a story behind this run. It's not that complicated, but I have attempted this run before. About, I want to say 2-3 years ago, something like that. I should probably look up that info. I know I made a couple of Discord posts about it in a completely separate Discord back when I did. But this is the only Nuzlocke that I've taken all the way to the end and lost. I've given up on quite a few midway through, and I've lost a couple midway through. And a lot early on. But this one made it all the way to the final battle of the entire run, and I lost. So naturally, this run kinda terrifies me, especially because it took a lot of luck to make it that far in the original. Hence why this is my build-up to spooky season games. We are going to recreate my character from that run, so allow me to introduce Vanilla. Now, as weird as it is, I consider Pokemon Black and White one of some of the hardest games to do any monologue in. Because there's very little variety in the early game. It's honestly a really limiting game, and that partly has to do with it partly has to do with the design behind these games, because Pokemon was trying to do a bit of a soft reboot here. This ties into the anime. And they came out with a whole new Pokédex of 150 Pokemon. And so prior to the post-game of this game, every single Pokemon that you are able to encounter at all is from this region. And so for much the same reason that monologues are hard in Generation 1, they're hard in this as well. Also, I'm going to try to moderate how much I use speed up, because while I've never really taken the time to experience the music from this game, and I'm really curious. hang on. Hold on a sec. Pardon the music. I am trying to figure out how to fiddle with my control scheme. Control configuration. Okay. Now we're going to take a second and fiddle with a couple of options. And as much as I want to do otherwise, we are going to choose the starter that will give us the hardest matchup against Charon for the majority of the run, because Charon is the more difficult of the two rivals, and by choosing Snivy as our starter, we get a Pokemon that really can't do any... we get Charon to have a fighting-type Pokemon. Y'all have seen me do Nuzlocke before. You know that if I do this, I'm going to start a lot of sentences before knowing how I'm going to get to the bottom of them. So, we are just going to kind of button mash through a bit at the start here because we don't have our real starter yet. So while we do that, I'll try to run through the rules of this Nuzlocke. So first of all, there are the basic hardcore rules, which is you can only catch the first valid encounter that you run in. You can only catch the first valid encounter in each area, and if a Pokemon faints, it's dead. And if your entire team faints, that's a wipe. You lose the run and have to start over. On top of that, we won't be using any items in battle. We won't be using any items from the bag in battle. We will be playing with a level cap based on the next gym leader that we're going to be facing. The level cap does get a little bit weird about the Elite Four, but I'll go into that a little bit more when we get there. And that's just for specific run considerations here. Oh, what else? I'm actually drawing a blank on what some of my hardcore rules are. Yeah, let's just read them out. If a Pokemon faints, it's dead. I can only attempt to catch the first valid encounter in each area. All captures have to be named. We play with a level cap based on the next gym leader's highest level Pokemon. We cannot use items from the bag in battle. We play on set mode. And I have to ignore encounters from an evolutionary line where I've already caught a Pokemon. So those are our rules, and on top of all that, we are only allowed to use normal Pokemon. I will be catching Pokemon to use as HM users, because that's still a thing in this game, and it's a pain to try and keep HM moves on my team. Especially since the move deleter doesn't come up until just before the 6th gym. So, with all that in mind, there are a couple more things that I want to bring up. One of them is that I'm going to be a little bit picky with our starter. I thought about... So, I'm going to allow myself to keep re-rolling encounters until I get a specific starter with a specific ability. And the reasoning behind that is pretty straightforward. Oh, right. There are 2 valid encounters that we are guaranteed to get in the first 2 locations. And one of them is just massively harder to actually use at this stage of the game. It's harder to level it up to deal with the battles that we're going to be facing. And if either of them comes at like level 2, that's just a bit of a pain. So when it comes time to get our starter, we're going to be running around until we encounter a level 4 Lillipup with the right ability. Give me a sec, I'm gonna get some stuff pulled up on a separate screen. See, one of the possible abilities for Lillipup is incredible, and the other is kind of negligible. So we are going to be a little bit picky. Frankly, if I got the... well, we'll call you... Leaf. You're not really gonna be a main staple, but I will probably use Snivy to use Cut from time to time, so why not? We got maps here, right? Yeah. The map isn't that big of a deal for me anymore. I'm pretty familiar with the map of this game. Oh, fun fact, you know those battles that we were in at the very start, those first 2 battles with our starter? It's impossible to lose those. The game just won't let you. I think it might hypothetically be possible if you stalled out all of your opponent's non-attacking moves, but I've never tried that. I should at some point, but... Okay. So real quick, we're just gonna turn off sound real quick, and then let this fast forward. Because I really don't need a capture tutorial. I wish there was a hotkey for toggling sound off and on. Oh well, I had to look, but not the case. Okay, so we're just gonna drop a quick save state before we go into here and start trying to get our starter. So this is a Patrat, so we're going to go ahead and pass this up. We could hypothetically do it with a level 4 Patrat, but it's just much more likely to die randomly and tragically. Whereas a level 4 Lillipup is way more survivable. And again, it is borderline impossible to train up a level 2 Patrat, because the only thing on this route that it has a chance of knocking out are other level 2 Patrats. Okay. Let's hope this one has the right ability. Really? How are you not getting caught? Fine, I'll attack you. Is that what you want? Fun fact, I have put a large number of attempts into doing this Nuzlocke with only grass types. Unfortunately, while it's kind of hypothetically possible, the odds aren't good and the run tends to die at the 4th gym, which is where a lot of runs die in this game. The 4th gym is, I would say, the hardest gym in this game. The 4th gym and the 2nd gym tend to be the run killers. Okay, we have Dog. We have obtained Dog. And now let's check if it has the right ability. It has the worst possible nature, so let's hope not. You know what? Despite having the right ability, I'm just gonna load the state. Enjoy the garbled triple speed music. Oh, thank you for the stand, Rafkin. Luckily, unlike in, say, Sekiro, or Elden Ring, or anything else that requires precise timing and high levels of concentration, in Nuzlocke, a lot of the thinking happens before you get into a situation, which definitely saves some of that trouble. Okay, so I think by loading the save state and doing the exact same thing, I got identical RNG, so... There we go. This is slightly different RNG. You know what? I'll try for a level 3 Lillipup. Wrong nature. See that right there? Level 2 Patrat is the reason I'm allowing this, really, because it can't be anything except another level 2 Patrat. And that is pure luck, which I don't want to rely on while trying to level up my Pokemon. With all the Patrats, I swear it's like... I'm pretty sure Lillipup is like 50% of the encounters on this route. Yeah, 50... It's a 50-50 split between Lillipup and Patrat, and I'm getting like 70% Patrat. Anyway, dog, what you up to? Naughty Nature, Vital Spirit, you know what? It's usable. I don't hugely fancy the minus special defense, but it's usable. Besides, if we play this right, dog shouldn't have to take too many hits on the special side for most of the game. Oh, I forgot. It has Leer in its first move slot instead of Tackle. There you go, dog. There's your first taste of blood. Well, that was fun. Gonna go visit Mom, get her to heal us up. I'll admit, part of the reason that I wanted to do this run, part of the reason that I wanted to retry this run on this version of the game is that optimal Nuzlocke gameplay in Pokemon Black and White on cartridge is kind of terrible. By the way, we're going to be getting to level 7 while we're here. And we're going to try to emphasize low-level Patrats and Lillipups. Part of that's for safety and part of it's for EV training, which we will do pretty deliberately in this run. And of course, because I want low-level Patrats and Lillipups, it's only giving me level 4s now. But yeah, there are certain aspects of Nuzlocke in these games that are just intensely grindy. And if you don't have a speed-up option and access to some external tools, it just gets really hard to stick with. Especially collecting gems and certain berries is really difficult, and actually heart scales are farmable in this game basically from the start, but they require you make an infrared link with someone, and that's just nightmarish. Again, it's just not fun to try and track down a real live person who happens to have this game and is willing to sit down with you and do like 20 vibe checks. Don't worry, for the significant parts I will have this on normal speed so that the music isn't constantly being ruined for you. Hey, level 2. Okay. This should be our last battle for now. And then we'll head to the next round. The next route. Okay. Let's see, did I forget anything on that route? I kind of doubt it, but... Nope, Doesn't look like it. And in a Cumula town, I think we can find... Okay, someone gifts us a Pokeball. Not really a big deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip checking every house to try and figure out who gives us that. Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with a little bit more tutorial. Ham-handed philosophy and frankly kind of sad attempt at incorporating the story. A lot of people say that these games have the best story of any Pokemon game. I'm gonna be honest, I disagree. And there are very specific reasons that I disagree, and I will be pointing out at least one of them later. How's it going, N? Okay, so this is one of the more... We get 3 different rivals in this game, and N is generally considered the most dangerous, but if I'm honest, I tend to have more trouble with Charon. Anyway, his Purloin isn't really all that threatening. It's faster than us, but it does really pitiful damage. Now, a fun little detail about N is that in most cases, his Pokemon are actually like the highest level wild Pokemon that can be found in a certain area. This fight is the exception. We haven't gotten to an area where we can encounter level 8 Purloins. But in every other battle, if you take a look at his team, it's made up of Pokemon that are available in the immediate vicinity at the level that they're available in the immediate vicinity, which is a really cool detail. I think there's a lore explanation that N just gets wild Pokemon to help him win his battles, so he wins without capturing Pokemon. But I don't think you can say that that's, like, confirmed or canon. It's just implied in a lot of ways. Alright, and now we get a call from our mom. And we get shoes. We get the shoes. And we can run. But, more importantly, we get to attempt our next encounter. And this one we can't just reroll endlessly. We can reroll the Lillipup here because we're not allowed to catch 2 Lillipups. But when we get our real encounter, which, in case you couldn't tell, is going to be Patrat, we have to keep whatever Patrat comes up first. Oh, it's level 7. Honestly, I kind of would have preferred a lower level one. Just because it would be a bit easier to catch. And it would give us a little bit more room to pack some EVs onto it before the major battles. Come on. Any chance you want to flinch? Thank you. That was risky, because if I had failed to catch it, I probably would have just reset the run. And I could have failed there if I had gotten a critical hit. This is the last generation in which critical hits did double damage. In more recent generations, they deal 1.5 times. So crits are very dangerous in this run. And you will be Otter. Wait, hang on. I want to double check something. You know what? You'll be Meerkat. I've never fully been able to nail down what Patrat and Watchog are supposed to be. I've always thought they were either supposed to be an otter or a meerkat, but they are kind of just a generalized rodent. That said, they've got a whole looking theme going on. So we'll go with Meerkat. And I am curious what ability Watchog has, because one of its abilities is more annoying than helpful, and one of them is just kind of there, and I would prefer the one that's just kind of there. Okay, Kenai. Terrible nature, but we can work with it. Watchog really isn't in the plans for an offensive force in this run. Why do I feel like someone in this building is the one that gives me a Pokeball? Hey, I was right. Okay. So those are all of our encounters before the first gym, and neither of them will be able to evolve. So there's not much to figure out at this point, other than just what trainers we're gonna need to get through. You know what? Let's get Meerkat and Dog up to level 9. So we're gonna back up for a minute. Go visit Route 1. And spend some time fighting the Pokemon there. Yeah, unfortunately we have a minus speed nature. That's more detrimental to us than the plus special attack nature, because one of the main benefits of Meerkat's line is that it's at least moderately fast. It's like the only thing it has that's even close to a good stat. Learned Bide. That might come into play at some point before we delete it, because it's not a super safe move. So, if nothing else, part of why I'm attempting this run again is that I feel like I could have done it better the first time. That's a lot of what this boils down to. I made certain dumb mistakes in my first run, where I wasn't very careful, didn't use optimal strategies, etc. And I lost a couple of important Pokemon early on, and even didn't have access to items due to the limitations of playing on cartridge. Because, for example, if there's one item that I could hypothetically get very early on, I would just have to make sure to trade Pokemon with someone else so that I have Pokemon that meet the requirements, and then trade back. The one specific item that comes to mind is the Wide Lens, which gives your moves a 10% boost to accuracy. It's a very handy item for Nuzlocke for patching up moves with imperfect accuracy, or even just straight up low accuracy. And the only way to get it is by showing one guy in the first big city that you encounter that you have Pokemon with 5 different trainer IDs, which I can't do playing normally because I would have to find 4 other people to trade Pokemon with. And that's a whole challenge. But with the added benefits of this setup, I can avoid issues like that and just get the useful items when they become hypothetically available. Okay, we're level 9. Let's make our way to the next town. Okay, we can avoid her, and we can avoid him, which means... Hello, Purloin. We're gonna go back and heal because the next opponent that we're going to face is a rematch with Bianca. Who has a Lillipup of her own, as well as an Oshawott. And you'll find that it's a pretty common strategy in this to avoid a lot of the trainers, just because I want to be kind of particular with the effort values that my Pokemon gain from battles. Which means if I can avoid random battles, I will, so that I don't have to pick up EVs that I might not want. Also, at times, the level cap gets a bit tricky to manage. Hey, Bianca. Luckily, this particular fight is pretty easy, but Bianca does have the potential to become a bit of a threat down the line. Okay, so we're speed tied. I suppose the low speed stat on Meerkat could turn out to be a blessing in disguise. Because as weird as it is, even though Meerkat is probably one of my worst encounters in terms of combat power, in my first run at this, my Patrat got killed very early on, and I genuinely think it made the run a lot harder due to certain strats that were only available to me through Patrat. As weird as that sounds. So one of my big focuses during this run is going to be trying to not let any of my Pokemon get killed. Also, I hope the pink screen on the side isn't bothering you. It will eventually have useful stuff on it most of the time. And we got a Great Ball. So this place is technically a city, but I would consider that highly debatable. I think this guy over here gives me a Dusk Ball. Nice. And now our next task is to go and have another battle with Charon. And he's a bit trickier than Bianca, and will be for the duration of the run. So I think we're going to try... I think we're going to get our team to level 10 before fighting him. Just one extra level. Should only take a minute. So you notice how from that level 2 Patrat I only got 8 XP. That's kind of an important detail in this game. See, the XP we receive as of this game is based on both our Pokemon's level and the level of the opposing Pokemon and the identity of the opposing Pokemon. Which means, by heavily emphasizing battling the lowest level Pokemon we can, especially by revisiting early routes late in the run, it becomes possible to really seriously EV train our Pokemon. Without over-leveling. Not before the first gym. We're still pretty limited on how many battles we can manage to have before the first gym. But by the time we get past, like, the second, anytime we get an encounter, we should be pretty much free to max out their EVs and specific stats that we want them buffed in. And that'll be especially important later in the game when we need very specific Pokemon. Or when we need very specific stat spreads. And I probably won't do most of that training naturally, because it is incredibly tedious, and it does encourage me to use speed up mode. It's just a whole host of reasons why it's not very pleasant to do it in real time. So what I'll do instead is figure out how much XP I get from a specific Pokemon, and then externally change my Pokemon's level and total experience and EVs accordingly. And there are certain strats that I can do to mess with that as well, like I can hypothetically get twice as many EVs packed onto a Pokemon by switch training it with another Pokemon that wants to be trained in the same stat or is already fully EV trained. It'll be a whole thing. But as it stands, we are going to lead Meerkat into the Charon fight. You're not the person who gives me a free full restore. Or full heal, not full restore. Can't use it in battle, but it might come into play out of battle. And no, I don't have a good reason for saving here. Because if we die here, we just have to reload back at the start. Barry takes it out of Blaze range, that's good. Which means the tackle should get the kill next turn. It may surprise y'all, but for monolocks with any of the with any of the types used by the starter Pokemons, this battle is a run killer. It's possible to get through, but that's only because Charon's AI is kind of awful. Okay, crit from this range would probably knock out Meerkat. Better safe than sorry. He can just occasionally decide to more or less never attack. But if you're trying to play with just your starter Pokemon because you don't have any other encounters at this stage, this guy will kill runs unless you've pushed very close to the level cap. Like with a good number of runs that I've tried, I pushed to like level 11 or 12 for that fight. And his Pokemon are level 8. But it's just the issue of he has a Pokemon that's super effective against your starter, it's holding an Oran Berry, which means it lives a lot longer than it normally would, you've got limited options, he has another Pokemon in the back, which can use Assist to pull super effective moves from time to time. It's a whole thing. Anyway, now you're letting me into the gym. Okay, what levels of Pokemon are we looking at in the gym? So this is a bit of a weird gym. Why did I go back in here? In that there are 3 gym leaders, and they use one of them has a fire type, the other has a water, and the last one has a grass. And they use the type that's super effective into your starter. It's supposed to be a way of convincing you to visit the Dream Yard here at the start to get a gift of a Pokemon that will be super effective into that. Obviously, that's not an issue, and in fact, the Pokemon that we get for free in there isn't really all that useful to us. We'll still get it at some point, because it'll be useful for HMs, but... I'm just gonna clear out the trainers on this route real quick. Because now that they're a little bit farther from our level, we'll get less XP from them. And we're gonna want at some point to be able to just go through this route freely, so... Midas Whale. Anyway. So the gym leaders here are a big issue if you're trying to do a run with just your starters. Same reason that Charon there is an issue. But in their gym, they've got a lot of normal types. And they're surprisingly high level and kinda dangerous. Luckily, we also have normal types that are kind of high level and surprisingly dangerous. So, it won't be too problematic to get through there. But their last Pokemon are still dangerous in the sense that they can set up, and given the chance to get rolling, they can become a big problem. Oh my gosh, game. Stop. Calm down with the encounters. So again, same thing. We're just clearing out some trainers that we're going to have to deal with later, and some trainers that would get in our way trying to backtrack. Luckily, at this stage of the run, EV training isn't as important as later on. And also, we can kinda just EV train in... Well, we can just use these battles for EV training if we're aware of what our opponents give. For example, those Purloins give speed, which is something that we want on Dog. Thank you for the hydrate beat. So I think, given its nature, we might try and keep Meerkat kind of slow. Because that'll give us a chance to... You know, I just realized these are level 7 Patrats. They don't know Bide yet. I was thinking for a second there, like, wait, should I be more careful and make sure I one-shot them? Because Bide is really deadly, but no, they don't know it yet. Anyway, I think we might try and keep Meerkat kind of slow, because there are strats that can work with that down the line. We will go ahead and learn Detect in place of Bide, because I don't like using Bide as a strategy. It opens us up to a lot of critical hits on a Pokemon that isn't that durable. And Detect is gonna be important for the second gym battle. Okay, and if we talk to this person, they will give us a Panpour. We obviously won't be using Panpour in battle, it's not a normal type, but we might wind up using it for Surf. We do get a Pokemon that can learn Surf, and that we will probably teach Surf, at least from time to time, but it's nice to have a dedicated Surf user, in case there's ever a time that we can't fit Surf into a move slot. Okay, both of our Pokemon are level 12, I believe, now? No, still level 11. Okay, we're gonna rush back to Route 1, do a little bit more training. So, for reference and a bit of recap here, I keep referring to EVs. That stands for effort values. They're points gained from battling Pokemon, outside of just XP, and they boost specific stats. For example, Patrat and Lillipup each give 1 attack effort value. That's part of why they're a good target for Meerkat and Dog, because those two are both primarily physical attackers who will benefit from getting their physical attack stat as high as I can get it to go. Except I probably won't really max out Meerkat's physical attack, because in terms of offense, he's pretty thoroughly outclassed by Dog, who is faster, a bit more durable, and I think hits at least as hard, if not harder, when they're both fully evolved. With that in mind, Meerkat stands out with its support move pool, which is one of the best of the Pokemon that we get access to, and it's one of the reasons why I regret letting my Watchog go down early in the run in my first playthrough of it, in my first main run of this particular Nuzlocke, all those years ago. So when it comes down to it, we're probably going to wind up training Meerkat primarily in HP and either defense or special defense. Maybe keeping some attack around, I don't know. But HP is going to be the focus for Meerkat for the foreseeable future. It's just that we don't have a source of HP EVs. In reality, it occurs to me that I should probably be training Meerkat against higher level Pokemon so that he doesn't get packed with so many attack EVs. Ah well. Not a huge deal. Now, on the other hand, Dog. We want attack EVs on Dog. He is going to be one of our... Dog is unironically one of the best encounters that we're going to get in this entire run. And I don't know if that's a reference on how good Dog is or how bad a lot of our encounters are. He's not the best. That title goes to a very specific encounter that we will be able to see after we've beaten the first gym. Okay, let's take a look at the gym trainers. We have to battle 2 of them, it looks like. Lead with Meerkat. Don't need your explanation. Water against fire. Get into a fight. So, in a lot of cases at this stage of the game, we will probably focus on leading Meerkat to use Leer a few times to set up one-shots for Lillipup, for Dog. Should be a pretty decent pairing, all things considered. So, one thing that I found interesting, I've looked at every different type for a hypothetical monotype in this game, and a lot of them are just straight up off the board. Because the encounters just don't show up until, like, the 4th gym or later. And a good number of others are off the board because they can't get past key early game threats. Like, one of the most... And I've got mad respect to Flygon HG for pulling this up. One of the least doable runs in this game that is still hypothetically possible is water types only. Because getting through the 1st gym and the 2nd gym are purely luck-based. The 3rd gym is difficult in its own right, and the 4th gym, I believe, is once again completely luck-based. Okay, so we are going to Leer one more time and then switch out because he's locked into Bide, which is what I was hoping he would do. Bide deals damage based on how much damage the user takes while he's charging it up. And since we haven't damaged him, we are completely free to switch in on the turn that Bide actually goes off. Another one that's interesting in this game, but heavily luck-based, is Flying Only, which is normally one of the easiest runs to attempt in any Pokemon game. But in this game, not only do you not get access to a single flying type until after the 1st gym, but the 2nd gym really struggles with just flying types. It's really hard to clear Gym 2 with only flying types, which makes it a very tricky run. I've tried that one a lot, and it's far from reasonable. Now, that's one that might become a lot more reasonable if not done on cartridge. Just because with speed up and external tools to cut down on the grinding, you don't have to worry quite as much while trying to get perfectly EV trained before the 2nd gym, I guess, technically. Okay, so the level cap for this gym is 14. I want to see, do we learn anything useful at 15? I'm not going to have Lillipup learn Takedown. As much as it would be nice to have a move that's almost twice the power of Tackle, it's just not a safe thing to go for. To think of it. Oh, well, I guess that doesn't matter. We get that as a TM. Patrat doesn't learn anything at 15. Okay, so I don't think we should need to edge our team close to the level cap. So, we are going to try and track down a level 7 Patrat here real quick. or Lillipup. I'll go for either. In fact, we'll probably do Patrat's leveling natural in the game. It's Lillipup that I want to do rapid EV training on. And then I'll show y'all what I really mean by rapid EV training. Dark types only is another interesting one that, while it looks like it may hypothetically be doable, unless you use some kind of disreputable strategies like having Purloin use assist with non-dark types in the back of the team, it's not really that achievable because you have to go so long without a second encounter, and Purloin... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Purloin is kind of bad until it evolves. And I'm not even prepared to claim that it's that good after it evolves. Grass, like I said, is hypothetically possible, but it is very difficult because of a few of the gym leaders, to be honest. The first one is pretty reliable, as long as you've got decent individual values on your starter. It can get through a lot of the early game just by setting up and sweeping with growth. See, I kind of want Sand Attack, but at the same time, I think Leer is just going to generally be better, which means if I wanted to put it in the moveset, it would probably need to replace Bite. Nah, we shouldn't need accuracy strats for any of the upcoming matches. You know what? We are going to use fast training for this. Okay, so Meerkat gains 41 XP from the highest level target it can run into right now, which is what we want to focus on training it against, since we don't want too many EVs on it. Now we're going to run around and see if we can find a level 4 Purloin, which is the lowest level Purloin on this route. Technically, a level 7 Lillipup would probably give more XP than a level 7 Patrat, but I'm not really prepared to be that particular with trying to limit the EVs that I give Meerkat, because I don't really mind him gaining the extra attack EVs. Come on, just give me that level 4 Purloin. I need to know how many of those Dog could devour before he hits his next level. See, this is part of what makes this game kind of terrible to carefully EV train in. While you can gain a lot of EVs without gaining too much experience, you can also, in a lot of places, only find the EVs you want with a specific Pokemon at a fairly low encounter rate. Come on, where is the cat? There we go. Level 4 Purloin. Okay, so now here's the trick. We save. And okay, so if we take a look at Dog, 327 XP to the next level, divided by 16 XP per purloin, is just over 20 purloins. So, he gains 336 experience. Oh. Yeah, unfortunately, any buttons that I tap while I'm doing this will have an effect on what I have open in the menu. Okay, so he'll gain that much experience and 16 speed EVs. And this is a great time to take a look at his stats, which are not great, if I'm gonna be honest. Low HP, 0 defense IV. The 3 special attack IV doesn't matter at all. But low HP and 0 defense are definite problems, although 24 speed EVs is pretty nice. This is definitely a below average stat spread, I believe, because... hang on. Yeah, 79 total IVs out of a potential 186. Still, we'll work with it. Yeah, as weird as it is, Patrat's IVs are definitely a good bit better. And once again, pretty low special attack, which isn't really a huge issue, although I was considering seeing how Watchog would do as a special attacker, given the quiet nature. Just because he gets a lot more special coverage than physical, weirdly enough. But I kinda doubt that we'll wind up going that way, just because, again, heavily focused on being a support Pokemon for this run. Okay, so, in terms of Meerkat, I can already tell you that's going to be 11 Pokemon. In fact, we'll just have him do one battle to round it off. Well, no. So that will be 11 more attack IVs for 92 total. Okay. And now by doing that, we can go ahead and load in our our updated Pokemon. And that'll be far more useful a while down the line when we're trying to get fully EV train Pokemon rapidly. Oh, I didn't know that you could get it to flip around by tapping it. Look down there on the bottom right. I can make him do a little dance. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, they're both level 14, just past the baseline, which should be a decent enough place for them to be. I guess it's so you can get a look at their back sprites if you want to. Anyway, they're both level 14, which is where we wanted them to be. We shouldn't need to get close to the level cap for this. The downside to this fast training method is that we kind of have to do it multiple times. Once at every level until we've maxed out their EVs. We'll be giving both of our Pokemon Oran Berries, because that's about the only thing we can do beyond that to tip the odds in their favor. But from what I recall, this shouldn't be too difficult of a battle for our normal types. Thank you for the hydrate, Lastborn. Yep, this guy has a fire type. So I'm going to open with a couple of Leers. And if things get dangerous for Meerkat, then I'll wind up switching him out. Now this is kinda risky. Because he is setting up, which is dangerous. Hey, don't be mean to Meerkat. He's an important member of the team. Ooh. I wonder, will he heal? He will. Oh, I should have used Tackle, because that might not heal fully. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, you just decided to go for a non-stab bite, and we didn't get flinched. Luckily, our little pup can definitely outspeed his. Oh my gosh, he burned our berry. I kind of forgot that was a thing that his Pokemon could do. Now, he did about 9 damage there, so I don't feel hugely comfortable leaving Meerkat in. One of the worst aspects of this game, I'm trying to be nice because I do genuinely really like these Pokemon games. I find them very fun. Okay, we're going to go for a bite. It looks like we don't outspeed. That said, this thing is pretty frail. I think a tackle should probably not quite be enough to deal with it, so we're going to use a Leer. Now, he is at +2 special attack, so this is kind of risky. Looks like we have to dodge a critical hit. If he goes for a setup move... If he goes for workup next turn, or doesn't get a critical hit, or a lot of Fury Swipes hits, we should be okay. Okay, no crit. I do think I had to go for that extra tackle. Had I gone for just 2 tackles back to back, I think I would have been fine, but oh well. We get our first gym badge, though admittedly I don't like losing those 2 berries. Because berries, as I was about to say, one of the worst parts of this game is that berries are generally not farmable. You can't just get infinite berries in the main storyline. I think someone is about... Yeah, right. Fennel is going to abscond with us. I'm going to speed this up so that we don't have to listen to her. We got the HM for cut. Prior to the post-game, the only way to renewably get berries is to thief them off of wild Pokemon, which means you need a Pokemon that knows how to use Thief. Care to guess how many encounters we have that can learn Thief by TM? The answer is 1. It's Meerkat. Shocker. That was one of the reasons that I really regretted losing Meerkat early in my run, because it completely cut me off from my berry supply. And it's little things like that that are so absurdly particular. I think I already did this. That tend to come into play in Nuzlocks of this game. You know, one challenge that I've never tried, but that I'm guessing is borderline impossible, is Psychic Pokemon only, because most major bosses have 1 or 2 Pokemon that have Dark-type moves, which makes it pretty difficult to clear the early game with the, frankly, kind of passive psychic types that the game gives you access to. It is an interesting one to theory craft, but I don't know if it's really realistically possible. We're gonna lead with Dog for this next bit. We gotta get into a couple of battles. And this is a point where we're going to be encountering some interesting stuff, and we will start getting to use the Pokemon that we're keeping in the back for not battles. Because we have an HM now. Also, TMs became reusable in this generation, which, honestly, a decent strategy. I think the way they handled TMs is one of the better things in Scarlet and Violet, to be honest. No, I'm afraid Mr. Mime isn't available until the post-game in this game, so he will not get a time to shine in this one. Oh... Yeah, it's not gonna happen here. I'm not sure if I'll keep Odor Sleuth around in the long term. I think I kind of left it there for a while, but most normal types get dark type coverage. Either way, we can go ahead and replace Leer. Workup is going to be better on Lillipup. Yeah, that's the thing. So many encounters are post-game exclusive. I'm not even joking. If we manage to win this run, I want to do the post-game of Pokemon White. Because I think it is one of the better post-game sequences in the overarching Pokemon series. It lets you go back and visit a lot of locations that you couldn't get to earlier. For example, you see this cone? We can do nothing to move this cone and get to that patch of grass and those stairs that you can just barely see up in the top corner in the entire game. But once we beat the Elite Four and become champion, this cone moves. It just moves from that spot and you get access to what's beyond it. And there are lots of tiny little things like that inexplicably move and open up areas with extremely high level Pokemon and some more story after the fact. And also there's a true champion battle at the end of the post game that I kind of want to do. And now, time to introduce the scene that I am forced to bring up every time someone claims that the story in this game is good. I'm just gonna give y'all some time to read the dialogue here. This is Team Plasma. They battle night and day to liberate Pokemon from foolish humans. Muna and Mosharna emit Dream Mist. We're going to use that as a MacGuffin, sort of, maybe. Spit it out. And they're kicking a Pokemon. This is what people claim is the best story in any Pokemon game. Yeah. From a gameplay perspective, in a lot of ways, I really enjoy these games. From a story perspective, they are overhyped. And as weird as it is, after starting with Lillipup, I'm going to switch out immediately, because I want to keep Lillipup healthy for the second battle. And also, this thing has a really good chance to just go for bite at some point. See what I mean? Which gives us the chance to use 2 Leers. And then just probably one-shot it. Oh, that crit might have mattered. And this is the battle that I actually wanted to lead Lillipup for because Speedy Bees. Back-to-back crits. Meerkat and Dog are kind of on fire. They just have to ham-handedly point out that these guys are, in fact, the bad guys. By having them, in an early scene, kick a Pokemon and blatantly state that their leader tries to control people by tricking them with speeches. Hi, Musharna. You know, one thing that could be interesting in this game is instead of a monotype challenge, doing like a dual type challenge, where you start with a specific Pokemon that becomes a dual type Pokemon, and you can only catch Pokemon that have one of its 2 types. That could be worth considering. Yeah. Yeah, they do. That's pretty much it. Though it's pretty thoroughly established in Pokemon that Pokemon do have the capacity to just straight up abandon their trainers. Like, they can break out of their own Pokeballs. They can just leave. So, fun fact, we can get our 3rd encounter here. But I'm actually going to wait for a minute because there's something specific that I want before getting it. And I don't think we need it quite yet. Rather, there's something specific that I hope I get before having to get it. Because our the encounter that we can get there... Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Lastborn. The encounter that we can get there has 2 possible abilities. One of them is one of the main reasons this run is hypothetically possible, and the other is complete and utter garbage. And we can get this encounter in several locations. So I'm hoping to be able to scout for the right encounter. Or for the encounter with the right ability. But in order to do that reliably, I want both male and female Pokemon on my team. Okay. We're out of there. We are going to have to get into another battle real quick. I could have already explored this place, but there's not really much point. But yeah, the reasoning is that one of the two abilities that this Pokemon is capable of having is the ability Cute Charm, which is the useless one. It has a 30% chance of causing infatuation in a Pokemon of the opposite gender who makes contact during an attack. It's just not a good ability by any stretch of the imagination. And that said, we can hypothetically scout for it by using weak moves on this Pokemon if we have at least one Pokemon of the opposite gender. Which means ideally, if we have at least one male and one female Pokemon, then when we encounter one, we can switch in either the male or the female Pokemon, depending on which we need, and use that to do small amounts of damage, possibly even with the move False Swipe if we can get the TM before we run into that. In order to see if we get infatuated. There was a chance we could have missed that because of the sand attack. It's nice to have two legal encounters here, because this is the only place in the game where it forces you to do a double battle. Anywhere else that it puts them, you can actually slip by just having a single Pokemon in your party, or a single conscious Pokemon. But here, if you try and slip by without doing the double battle, they send you back because you don't have enough Pokemon. They pretty much call you a terrible trainer and say go back and catch some Pokemon. I think they might hint at the gift Pokemon that you can get from the Dream Yard as well. While I'm thinking about it, we are going to go ahead and deposit Grass, because, well, we don't need two Pokemon on the team to use Cut. Might want to do a little bit more training before we go farther. Because there is a battle with Charon coming up. I'd kind of like to have Lillipup evolved at the very least. Which will happen at the next level. So, let's find a Purloin. I think Purloins make up like 20% of the encounters on this route, so it's not great, which is part of the reason that it's tricky to optimally train something in speed here. Funnily enough, now that we have access to the Dream Yard, we can consistently train a Pokemon in HP thanks to the Muna that are there. Could I please have a level 4 Purloin encounter? It's about a 10% chance, because there's, I believe, an even split between level 4 and 5 Purloin on this route. And they make up 20% of the encounters. Yeah, this is truly abysmal luck. I apologize for the music once again. Come on, game. This is bullcrap. It's 20%, not 5. I've gotten like 20-something encounters already without seeing a single Purloin. Now just imagine how terrible this would be trying to do this. Really, it's level 5. I need level 4. I could just try and use an online experience calculator as well. That's definitely an option. I just don't always trust them. So I can't really see the math behind it, but when we're talking in-game, at the very least, then I can always see the actual number. It's just a little bit slower because I have to deal with crap like this. But yeah, this is the challenge with optimally EV training. Stop giving me level 5s. Now it's just taunting me. I know they come down to level 4. I've spent way too much time grinding EVs in other runs in this area to not know that. So again, I'm fairly certain that level 4 Purloin accounts for about 1/10 of the encounters in this area. And we have found none in the last probably 60 encounters. I haven't been counting, but it feels like around 60. Clearly, I need to get comfortable with an XP calculator. There are downsides to that too, admittedly. From when I have to constantly be updating. But, like, come on. Finally. Now I need to make sure that my ADHD doesn't kick in and force me to look away when it tells me how much XP I've gained. 14. I'm shifting some stuff around so that I can more easily fit all this on my desktop. Okay. 464 divided by 14. A little over 33. 34 times 14. 476. So, first off, going to gain 34 speed EVs, which will bump it up to 62 total. And then currently has 2071. So it'll wind up at 2547. You know what? Hang on. We'll do one less than that. That way it can evolve naturally in-game. So as you can see, we're on the verge of evolving. Just need to find a purloin. Luckily, this shouldn't take quite as long, because we aren't concerned with the level, so naturally it's going to give us one right off the bat at the level that we spent like five minutes looking for initially. Let's go ahead and let dog evolve. Dog is now a bigger dog. And that ability that you saw flash on the screen for just a second there is Intimidate, which is the reason we wanted a very specific ability on Herdier. The alternative would be getting Sand Rush, which gives double speed when you're in Sandstorm. And considering this is the only Pokemon, Dog is the only Pokemon on our team that synergizes with Sand strats potentially, it's just not nearly as useful as what is inarguably one of the best abilities in the game. An ability so good that they have nerfed it on multiple occasions. That said, we are going to lead with Meerkat just because I want to spread the XP around. Oh my gosh. Just realized that happened when I moved the window. It freezes every time. Okay. Start with a Leer. And we might go back and forth with this for a minute because it does no defense curl, which means it might just wind up putting up its defense as I lower it back down. It's a whole thing. I'd like to get it down to -2, ideally, before either attacking or switching in Dog. Okay, there we go. It's wasting turns now. This Tepig doesn't have a great moveset. 2 of its moves are completely useless against a lot of Pokemon. One of them is the one it just used. Odor Sleuth. I don't know why I couldn't think of it before. Because it's only helpful against ghost types, which I can't have at this stage, and evasion boosting strats, which I also don't think I can have at this stage. And then Tail Whip is useless because it doesn't know a physical attack. I mean, it does put me at a little bit of risk to the Purloin in the back. Honestly, that Oranberry is just detrimental to him, because that, I think, just brought him out of Blaze range. And now we'll switch into Dog, because we're at -3 defense. And this thing could hit pretty hard if it got a 5-hit Fury Swipes, for example. Especially if a couple of critical hits got mixed in there. It's not super likely, but best not to take chances. And Dog is pretty distinctly stronger than most Pokemon at this stage of the game. Which is a really nice thing to have around. But the reason Intimidate is so good is that every time my Pokemon switches in, it will reduce the opponent's attack by 1. Which is a great benefit for which is a great thing to have access to for trying to get other Pokemon in safely, or even the Pokemon with Intimidate, because it makes it a lot easier to switch in on most physical attackers. Now in later generations they updated just a ton of abilities to completely ignore Intimidate. Like, that's one of their express purposes. But, oh yeah, Team Plasma stole this little girl's Pokemon. I think it's like a Patrat. So, I don't know, maybe a family member of Meerkat or something. Oh, hey, pay attention to this. Y'all see that little spot in the water? That's going to be important later on. Not that specific spot, but events like that are a very important thing to be aware of while Nuzlocking these games. You'll see why later, but for now... what's the encounter rate in the regular grass here? I'm just curious. It doesn't make a difference. We're going for this encounter now. Regardless. 40%, levels 8 to 11. What kind of moves are we looking at? At 11, it might know Quick Attack. Not a huge deal. I am so stupid. Well, this is the encounter that we wanted in the Dream Yard. Okay, looks like we will have to get a P-Dove later. Oh, right, it's not Cute Charm. It's not even that useful. It's Healer. Arguably, potentially more useful, but still not good. Anyway, at level 11, Double Slap, Refresh, Helping Hand, Growl. So there really is no way that we can scout for this now that I look at it. Okay, folks, if we get the wrong ability here, we will be restarting the entire run. We're safe with one more bite. And it is registering as nighttime, so let's go for a Dusk Ball. It'll give us the highest chance of catching. Alright, we caught an Audino. Just want to double check something. Okay, yeah. We won't have to wait for long before having another shot at our next encounter. And it's good that our next encounter's ability really doesn't matter. And I gotta be honest, it took me a long time to figure out what Audino was supposed to be, but I am reasonably confident that it's meant to be a sheep or a goat. So in my initial run, I straight up just named it Pink. I didn't know what exactly it was, but I knew for a fact that it was pink. Alright, time to see if we have to reset the run because we got the wrong Audino ability. Regenerator, let's go! And Modest Nature isn't bad. It's one of the few Pokemon we have that makes for a good special attacker, so... Alright, we got the right Audino ability, which means the run lives. Regenerator, Audino, and Intimidate on Herdier and its evolution Stoutland are the main strategies that we have access to that are genuinely good. Okay, so we're going to try to get a couple of levels on Audino now. We were going to get that encounter here in the Dream Yard to try for... Okay, this is going to take a minute. We were going to get that encounter here so that we could get a different encounter on that other route, but the thing is... You know what? I'll even show y'all. Going to run? Okay. Look there on the left. You see that grass moving? That is an event, which in some places can give you items, and anywhere else can give you specific encounters when you interact with that. And in most grass patches in the entire game, if you see one of those, there's a chance of encountering an Audino. Which means this is one of the easiest Pokemon to track down. Now, you may be asking yourself, if this is such an important encounter, why did I wait to get it until after the first gym when there were grass patches on both of the previous routes? Why didn't I make this my first encounter? And the answer is very simple there. Event spots do not appear until after you've gotten the first gym badge. I unironically, the first time I ever attempted this challenge, spent roughly an hour, I believe, trying to get an Audino to spawn on Route 2 for my second encounter. I'm not even exaggerating. I spent roughly an hour going for that spawn. And it was such a waste of time because I found out something that is stated nowhere on the main... Dang, we're getting some high double slap numbers. It's stated nowhere on the main sources for Pokemon information, Cerebi and Bulbapedia. They just don't exist. until after you've gotten the first gym badge. Look at that, a level from a single Audino. They're good for HP EVs, but they're honestly not the reason that I'm here for HP EVs. Yeah, I should be good. They're also very easy to manipulate for. I mean, just look at that. By running around for a moment, we can get event spots going. It kind of stinks that we got it at the highest level available, because I would much rather have Pound than Double Slap, since on average, Pound does more damage. But, oh well. There's the 2-hit that I tend to expect. I'm gonna speed this up. Like I said, the 2-hit that I've come to expect. Okay. I'll admit the sped up double hit sound, or double slap sound effect is kind of satisfying. Anyway, we want to fight Muna and Audino here to get HP EVs on our Audino, and we'll probably switch in... Meerkat when we get the chance. Oh, one interesting thing about event spaces, you may have spotted it just as I was getting into that battle. An event space appeared, but after I got out of the battle, it vanished. And that's an interesting thing about them. If you get into a battle before you walk into the wrestling grass, or whatever it is for the specific area, the rustling grass vanishes, but you can manipulate it by, say, running around outside the grass like I was doing at an earlier point, or using repels in other areas. And these are really handy strats, actually, for black and white Nuzlocking, because they can make some really rare encounters very reliably available. For example, I've been revisiting a completely different Pokemon White Nuzlocke on my own time. And one of the fighting only. And one of the encounters, one of the areas there, you have a chance to encounter one very good Pokemon, one very mid Pokemon who doesn't really contribute anything useful to the team, and who you can find in a bunch of other locations, and another very good Pokemon who only appears in rustling grass. Which means it's possible to manipulate to guarantee a good Pokemon by running around until rustling grass appears, using a repel, and only getting encounters in rustling grass. It still takes a while because the one fighting type that appears in rustling grass in that particular location has a 5% encounter rate, and the other 95% of the time you encounter Audino. But despite that, it is a very reliable method. And it's a guaranteed way of avoiding the worst possible encounter on that route, which I can get almost anywhere else. Later in the game. So unfortunately, Muna isn't that common here. We would gain XP faster by specifically getting Rustling Grass to spawn and just fighting Audino, but I'd rather get the EVs. Also, Audino is one of the very few renewable sources of Oran berries in this game, because we can potentially thief them off of it. Which is potentially really handy. I can also get a couple of random items that are scattered around this area. Let's see, there's one there. Almost shifted water in. That would have been completely pointless. Okay, sheep is at level 15. The thing is, I don't think I have any double battles coming up for like a long time, so I'm almost guaranteed to replace Helping Hand at some point in the near future. But at the same time, there's almost no chance of my going for a strategy as luck-based as Attract. Yeah, I won't bother with it. There's a small chance that I could be forgetting something, but just with Intimidate alone, I'm in a pretty good place when it comes to double battles. So we're trying to get our Pokemon to level 16. And I'm doing some switch training because the HP EVs that I'm gonna give are beneficial for both of our defensive Pokemon. Sheep will be primarily defensive, but she can hypothetically pull a setup sweeper roll. Yeah, Audino has like a 50% chance to be carrying an Oranberry, and somehow when we caught ours we got the not 50%, but I can't really complain because we did get the 50% chance for Regenerator, which is such an incredibly good ability that I would feel kind of stupid complaining. I would have liked the spare Oranberry by catching it, but we get Thief not too much farther along in the run. And once we have that, we can just go and Thief berries off of Audino wherever we like. Assuming that we're willing to fit it into Meerkat's move slot anyway. Highest damage that Psywave is capable of right now is 15 from that thing. However, if we encounter a level 11 one, I don't know if Psywave rounds up or down with its damage calculation. I would assume down, but I'm not prepared to take that risk, so... quick little heal. I love how we saved, quote-unquote, that Munna from Team Plasma, and, like, we did, because they were just mercilessly kicking it. But, like, now we're back, and we're also kind of just slaughtering Munna. But hey, these Munna just get knocked out. Our Pokemon die if they're killed. That's why it's so important that we knock out so many Munna, so that we're less likely to be killed. That's my justification for this absolute genocide. I believe our next level cap is at 20. So we have a decent bit of wiggle room right now. Could I please be allowed to flee from this battle? It's the downside to Meerkat being so slow. A lot of the faster wild Pokemon, he can't reliably run from. Yeah, see, we got Shaking Grass right there, but Nodino would give us way more XP than I really want at the moment. So yeah, if there's a stat that I want to max on Audino, it's gotta be HP. And I think the same thing with Meerkat. They're both going to be primarily defensive and support Pokemon, with Audino kind of doubling down as a special attacker, weirdly enough. Because it just gets better special coverage than most of our team, and it can hypothetically buff with workup. So admittedly, I'm hoping that Meerkat will make it so Sheep doesn't have to personally do any of the buffing. Because that's the other major reason that I wanted that I want to keep Meerkat alive, is that way down at level 33, or I guess since I'll be having him evolve at level 39, Meerkat learns Baton Pass, which would give us a lot of extra setup opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't have. Okay, let's see. I'm pretty sure it's back-to-back-to-back fights once we get in here. Like 3 of them. Yep, 3 fights against people whose only Pokemon is Patrat. And I'm very confident in Meerkat's ability to win those honor battles. The thing is, the odds of these guys going for bite, or for bide, is just so high. I'm not super worried about these fights. Also, Crunch is stronger than Tackle at this point. Even though Tackle gets the same type attack bonus, because it's normal type and Meerkat is a normal type Pokemon. Oh, it's a double battle. Okay, there is one more here. But, again, not really an issue. Especially when we can pull a cool little trick here. We can bring out what is almost inarguably our best doubles Pokemon by switching in Dog. To get off that Intimidate, which nerfs both of their attack. Look at all that damage. It's so intimidating, guys. You're doing great. I'm kind of tempted to make all of my Pokemon shiny, just for the fun of it. Sadly, we can't get any encounters here, but now that we have access to this location, we have access to a very important aspect of this game. Oh, hang on. Yeah, Meerkat is going to have a rough time trying to run from these guys. Okay, there's the TM for Thief, which isn't the very important aspect that I was referring to, but it is handy. Okay, so real quick, I'm hopefully going to be able to demonstrate to you here. So if I use this repel real quick... you see this? This is the type of event spot that pops up when you're in a cave. It's a dust cloud. And you can get some very important items from dust clouds, including, and perhaps especially, gems. I was just going to reload the save after doing that because I didn't want to burn a repel for nothing, but since we did get a gem that first try and it was a decent type for a gem, I'm just gonna keep it. Alright, these guys force me to talk to them before I can go back to town. And we get a few heal balls, which is nice. I might even change the Pokeball that Audino is in, that Sheep is in, because heal balls kind of fit the vibe there. At some point I'll probably go a little bit more in depth about how event spaces work, but for now suffice it to say that we could go into that cave and run around for hours at a time, even without repels, waiting for dust clouds to pop up, grabbing them, and eventually get all of the gems that we want, especially since Dog is fast enough that we can reliably run away from everything in the cave. Which means that in between this stream and the next, I'm going to go ahead and give myself all of the gems and the other items that you can find through dust clouds, and probably infinite money as well, because you can farm them for valuables to sell as well, which means money is no longer tied to XP. It's a very handy thing to have. This is what I'm getting to. After Charon... This kid has a Blitzel. I'm not going to fight him either way because I want to manage my XP a little bit better. But he has one of these things. Sadly, Blitzel is not strong enough to solo the early game. Otherwise, I absolutely would try to do an electric-only run, because the electric types in this game are genuinely some of my favorite Pokemon from this entire game. We're gonna lead with Dog for a minute. This is the Pokemon that I was trying to get on this route. P-Dove. Flying types are very useful, and almost every generation has a normal flying type combo, which basically just means it's an ordinary bird. Sadly, this generation, we get the literal worst ordinary bird in the entirety of Pokemon. Thank you for the show, Umbreon B. There he is. There's the dude. This person is a turner, but for some reason they're just not turning. I'm not complaining, though. I'm perfectly happy to be able to bypass her this time without getting caught. Yes, Umbreon says hi to y'all, too. Yeah, honestly, if there's one type of Pokemon that I'm really... or one type that I'm really sad you can't get, you can't realistically do a Monolock with, it's electric type, because Blitzel and its evolution are a really cool pair of Pokemon. And then there's also a Molga in this game, which is such a fantastic addition to a mono-electric team since it's immune to ground type moves. And I'm not even joking, my absolute favorite Pokemon from this generation is Joltik. It's a little bug and electric type Pokemon. It is utterly adorable. Like, it is one of the cutest Pokemon of all time. A really strong type, and its evolution, Galvantula, is just a really strong Pokemon. Which makes it, across the board, an incredible encounter. Sadly, we would need Joltik to handle the entire game up till the 4th gym, at which point we would get access to... I knew it. There's just an invisible revive sitting right there. We get the item that lets us find invisible items pretty soon, but... sadly... well, but you can just find them if you know where they are. Also, in one of these buildings, there's a person who can give us, I believe, a Miracle Seed, because we started with a Snivy. But I'm gonna hold off on that, because I'm not certain if it has to be a Miracle Seed, and... if it doesn't have to be a Miracle Seed, if I can get them to give me something else, then I might at some point want a Charcoal or a Mystic Water instead. I think I already healed. I think this is pointless. I'm just kind of meandering for a moment, trying to think where I want to go next. Yes, I do know Audino. I have one named Sheep. You have Netball. That's not really useful to me. Pity you don't have Dusk Ball. Alright, so we're not going to walk too close to the gym, because if we do, we wind up with a battle against N. I knew it. There are a couple of items here that are really handy to have before you get the item that lets you find them easily. so I've kind of got them memorized. The main one is that Ultra Ball that we picked up a second ago, but I do occasionally like to pick up some of the others, especially that Revive is good for selling. Anyway, because we didn't get P-Dove in a previous location, we'll go ahead and catch it here. And we'll probably use Sheep for that. Sheep knows Growl and is fairly durable. This patch of grass, by the way, is where you have to farm this patch of grass that we're in is where you farm rustling grass if you want to find a Pokemon in rustling grass on this route, which means the overall strat is to run back and forth right here, because rustling grass only appears in the grass patches that are on screen. It only appears in the ones that you can see. Here we go. Okay. I think once we get P-Dove, we'll probably call it a stream. I realize this has gotten off to kind of a slow start, but I'm hopeful that it can pick up. Pretty soon here. Oh yeah, hang on. There we go. That was a lot faster. Now, P-Dove can have two abilities. Neither of them is that great. Oh wait, actually, I think Super Luck is pretty decent from what I recall. Yeah, I got crossed wires. I was thinking it was between Big Pecs and Tangled Feet, but no, that's a different one. P-Dove, you are Burb. Welcome to the team, Burb. Super Luck is a pretty good ability, especially since we're kind of forced to use Burb offensively, despite middling offenses. Oh, Timid is not a good nature, sadly. Super Luck is decent, so we might wind up training this thing as a special attacker. But I'll have to look at what it's going to be as I level it up. It still gets a much higher attack stat than its special attack stat, so it's probably not worth it. Thank you for the TM. I don't think any of my Pokemon can learn Rock Smash at present, but maybe I don't know. But it'll be useful on a Pokemon in the back for just smashing rocks. I think that's still a thing in this game. I could be wrong. You know what? We will do one last thing before wrapping up here. We're going to go and have a battle real quick. I did heal, yes. So there's only one trainer that we can't reliably avoid on this route, and it's the girl on the bridge. And I want to make sure I've dealt with her before I do any off-stream grinding, because I don't want to accidentally battle her off-stream. Basically, this boils down to having a clear path back to Route 2. So, if I want to fiddle with levels off stream so that y'all don't have to watch me track down the Pokemon that have those levels, I can do so without having to worry about accidental run-ins with trainers, basically. I can say categorically that I have the ability to make it back down, to make it back there without risking the chance of running into a trainer through random chance. Anyway. Okay, this Purloin is probably about to get really frickin' annoying. We're gonna speed this up. Okay, and I think that's where we're gonna leave it for today. We've made some good progress, and we've gotten astonishingly lucky with abilities. On both of the Pokemon where it really mattered, well, on one of them we forced it, but on Sheep, we got the important ability that would have had us resetting the run had we not gotten it. And on both Meerkat and Burb, we got the preferred abilities, even though those didn't matter too much. Still not huge on that minus attack nature. That seems to be a bit of a recurring pattern here. Minus attack or plus special attack or both. But we can work with those, honestly. The only one that's hard shut down by it is Dog. That would have been hard shut down by a minus attack nature as Dog, so I think we're in an alright position here. So yeah, we'll be back on Friday. And when we get back on Friday, I will have done a bunch of grinding through definitely completely legitimate means to get a bunch of items. And probably to get Burb up to the same level as the rest of the team. But yeah, thanks everyone for being here. That's gonna be it for today. I appreciate y'all. I don't have anything to add, so yeah. Thanks for the hydrate, Lastborn. I appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Later, folks. Bye. So long, Umbreon is saying the goodbye today. Bye, Rafkin, the Lastborn.